One of the most difficult challenges is going to be surviving the late season. And trust me when I say the nastier it is, the better your opportunity is going to be. If you're on a food source or if you're in a transition to a food source and the weather gets nasty, then that is an awesome time to have your last chance to fill a tag. And it's certainly one of my favorite times of year to hunt. And honestly, one of the ones that's most likely overlooked by people as being the best time to get a big buck. But the key is to be able to be out there in those elements for as long as you possibly can. And having the right gear is the only way to make that happen. So I'm going to share with you my late season gear and how I apply this to being able to make sure that even during that last few days of January, I was sitting full sits, daylight till dark, in order to get the buck that I had been chasing for the 3 months prior. Now, the first thing that I'm going to put on is going to be a base layer that's as thick as possible and honestly made of a proven material that is going to be warm. And that's going to be a lot of the higher end synthetics or the heaviest of wool as a base layer. This is not a time to cut corners and have an insulation barrier that is a cheap cotton or blend that isn't proven as a major trusted brand for base layer warmth. You have to be warm from the core in order to then be warm all the way to the outside. So I've got the heaviest of synthetics. I have the heaviest hood that has a built-in hood with insulation around the ears, face mask, and this particular one also has little cuffs at the end that I can slide my thumbs through, and also insulation that I can flip around the ends of my fingers if by chance I have my hand exposed. Now, the next thing that I'll have if it's ridiculously cold is I can have one more layer of insulation that's fairly lightweight, but maybe a light down or a light Primaloft on top of that before going to my extreme outer layer. However, this extreme outer layer has been so productive that in a lot of cases, unless it's frigidly sub-zero weather, I'm able to utilize that base and just this exterior and stay very comfortable through the bulk of the winter hunting. Now, this particular set is a bibbed set, which I highly recommend for that later season. Having coverage up your back, having coverage up your chest, and then an external top that will then contain all that is going to really, really help in your warmth. This is super thick Berber, but it also has insulation built in. And this particular set is also water resistant and wind proof. So the wind is not going to be cutting through this. If I'm out and it's heavy snow or heavy rain or freezing rain, I will have to put a layer over the top of this for that moisture layer particularly. However, if it's just the cold, I'm happy with this. This is the top. It's definitely thick and it's definitely bulky. So by having the best base layering system that I can, it allows me to wear this thicker top and retain all of that heat that I'm producing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the footwear, because footwear can be the make or break. And honestly, so can your handwear. But what I've done is I've gone to the heaviest insulation of boot that I can find. And on the inside of this, I've actually removed the factory soles. And I have, if I can get them out, I have some added thick sheep insoles to where I can add the barrier between my foot and the bottom of that boot's sole. So I have this thick insole, plus I have the heaviest wool sock that I could buy. So I have a wool sock that is super thick, and honestly, my late season boots are one size higher than I typically wear, so that I'm able to have that super thick sock and I'm able to have a little bit of breathing room around my foot in my late season boots. Now, an additional thing that I want to talk about is a lot of times during that late season, even though there's frigid parts of the day, there's also times of the day where it gets pretty warm, and you not overheating is going to be crucial to being able to stay out there, because once you get the sweat going, it's really hard to get all of that moisture out. So staying at a perfect temperature is going to be key. One of the things I've used to help regulate that is having the same type of option in my outerwear as my big jacket, but simply in a vest. Because a lot of times as the day heats up, if I have this vest around the outside of my backpack, I can remove my big jacket and I can put the vest on over this insulation layer or over a lighter jacket, and I can be perfectly comfortable. Now, the difference is in the extremities as well when it comes to staying comfortable in the late season. Little things like an extra thick beanie, a heavy fleece neck gaiter, or being able to have mittens is going to be crucial to making sure you can stay warm when those temps are falling fast.